We're ready to start to work on the charm that goes on the front of the card, and I will be using some of Tim Holtz's grunge board collection, the little pair of wings. I will also be using this ornate plate that comes in Tim Holtz ornate plate collection. There's brass and copper and silver. I'm going to be using a brass one, but I'm going to be painting with distress paint, and it's going to look totally different when I'm done. So those are really cool to have. Our philosophy tags, which of course we've used many times before. Going to be using the Cherish one. You may pick another one that you would like to use. The distress ink we've used many times. This is another thing that I feel like I could carry around in my back pocket. Worn lipstick is the color that we'll be using, and we'll also be using some Tattered Rose. And then our new chunky glitter from Doodlebugs, we'll be using the white, and then we'll also be using some of the fine sugar glitter, which is also in Lily White. So let's get started. So I have my brass ornate plate here and my grunge board wings, and we are going to be using some of Tim Holtz Distress Crackle paint. And this tends to be a little bit gloppy, but the more you put on, the more it'll crack. And this color is also Tattered Rose. You want to also be working, of course, on a craft sheet or some surface that you can clean up or you don't care about. Either one. And the more gloppy you make this, the bigger the cracks will be. So depending on what kind of look you're going for. Okay, and then I'm also going to put this over my brass ornate plate. So, like I said, it's not going to look anything like it used to once we get done with it. And then while they're wet is when we're going to apply some of our glitter so that it'll stick right to the paint. Okay, and I think I used mostly the chunky glitter on the wings. As this dries, it tends to be a little less pink. So we'll be using the lipstick, the worn lipstick then. So if you're impatient like I am, you can use an embossing, a heat tool to just move it along. Now that they're dry, we can apply our lipstick. Ouch. See, I told you I was hot. So if you want to use a finger or a small brush, you can do that. I don't happen to have one handy. Just because if you rub too hard, of course, your glitter is going to come off. And you get the ink on there, it shows up the distress paint a little better. Okay, so that part is done. And we're actually going to take a pair of our Tim Holtz scissors and just cut the wings apart. And then we will use, I have a number of little loose brads here. I think these are from Making Memories, and I'm just going to use the little white ones. So I'm going to use my big bite here and put it on the 1/8 setting, which is the smaller hole punch. And I'm going to punch a hole right there where I want to attach my wing to my ornate plate. So I'm going to put it right in there, and I'm going to kind of eyeball it and see where that's coming down. Not too close to the edge because it could pull out, although this grunge board is pretty darn sturdy. So I've got my hole punched. I'm going to feed my little brad through the hole on the ornate plate and through the hole on my wing, and just bend my brad back here. And then I have my wing, one of my wings attached. Do the same thing to the other side. And if you were giving this to your husband or a special man in your life, you could certainly use different colors and maybe grunge it up, make it look a little more distressed and guyish. So here is here are my philosophy tags. I'm just going to cut a tiny piece of the ribbon. This is the same ribbon that I used to tie the box closed, so it's kind of nice if you can use the same. Thread it through that little hole there. And then I'm just going to tie a knot. It's not really holding on to anything. It's just to decorate up your charm a little bit. I'm going to place it on my ornate plate here and just eye up where exactly the ornate plate is hitting the charm. And press it down. Okay. Our charm is all finished, and we're just going to set this aside so that our little cherished charm, we want to make sure that that stays in place. And we're ready to check back with our box to see if the glimmer mist has dried. Then we can ink it and use our score pal in order to make our lines. That's next.